Hello, this is Pastor Dave Stewart of Destiny Preparation Church. Welcome to the program and welcome to Father's Day. This is Father's Day weekend. So I want to say happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there, wherever you are, whoever you are. And I want to encourage all the men out there that have children to be fathers. You know, no matter what other things are going on, confusion, questions, doubt, worries, issues, relationships, young people, children today need fathers. They need examples, and it's up to us. Listen, it may not even be your child, but sometimes we have to be a father to the fatherless. There are many young men in this church, and they need somebody. They look for somebody that they can see and be that's responsible, respectable, and will show an example to them of how to be successful. So I want to encourage all of us as men to step up as fathers this Father's Day. I'm going to share with you something great along this line, in fact, in just a moment, but don't just sit home and watch it. First of all, come and connect up. This weekend, we want to see all the fathers here, all the men. Ladies, I'll encourage you to get the fathers, get the husbands to come, get the men to come into the house of the Lord. We want to pray with them. We want to believe with them. We're going to encourage, inspire them, and we want us to step up to the next level. It's needed. This is a day and an hour where it's needed, perhaps like never before. There are so many young people who don't know who they are because they don't have a father image in their life. So I encourage you to be a part of this and be a part of it with us this weekend here at Destiny Preparation Church. Our service begins on Sunday at 11:30 a.m. And yes, we also have a special service, a Sunday school at 10 a.m. with all the different age group classes from the children to the adults, and also a special group for the young adults from teenage all the way through about 25. That group I love. I teach that group myself, and we have some great conversations about the realities of what's going on. And that's why I can tell you, young men and young ladies need a father. So I encourage you to come and be with us here at Destiny Preparation Church this week. By the way, let me remind you, if you ever need to connect up with us during the week, whatever the case may be, you can also call us. Call us, in fact, on our DPC hotline. It's 585-789-1DPC. You can call us at that number, and we will be able to connect up with you, perhaps pray with you, whatever it is that you need in terms of spiritual guidance and understanding, whatever you might be going through. We're here to encourage you, but more importantly, come and connect up here because you want that relationship and to be in that presence of God that comes into this place during our services on Sundays and on Wednesdays. Now, let me take you to this word I was talking about. This is an encouragement to the fathers out there, encouragement to us men out there to be what we need to be to help somebody else. It's called Someone Needs a Father. And I pray that this will inspire you to step up to being a father to the fatherless. God bless you. I hope to see you here at Destiny Preparation Church real soon.
If you really want to know what somebody is like, just give them a minute. And if you really want to know what they're like, put them under some pressure and let them get a little heat. Let them start sweating a little bit. Let them get a little frustrated, perhaps a little upset. And you're going to find out what they're really like, because whatever is inside of them is going to eventually show up. We can look happy and smile on the outside. We can wear suits and good clothes and look one way, but you put them in a situation, there's something down the inside that ultimately is going to show up. You can only get out what has first been put in. You have to put something into somebody in order for them to understand who they are. So we have a responsibility. Listen, your home environment is the first stamp, or if you will, imprint of foundation of the child. Wherever you are raising them, wherever you put them into, whatever situation that you draw them into, your home environment is the first impact that child will have in terms of knowing who he is or who she is and what is right and what is good. If you're in a house where there's a lot of screaming and yelling and arguing, you are imprinting into that child. If you're in a house where there's a lot of love that's expressed, you're imprinting into that child. If you are touchy and holy and grabby and kissy, you're imprinting on that child. But if you never touch them and you keep them at a distance, there's an imprint, the good and the bad of what you do. Sometimes we wonder how our kids came up with certain things. And we have to look in the mirror a little bit. And where did they learn that? Why did they say that? I want you to understand that your children are picking up from you every moment of every day. You are filling their souls, their spirits with things. And they're either good things, or they're bad things. You are making them what they're going to be. It's important for us to understand our role, our responsibility in the next generation. So just as God created us in his image, we are creating in ours. We are producing offspring to be like us, or sometimes to be better than us. How many of you want your offspring to be better? Maybe some things that we didn't do right, get right. Maybe some things we didn't receive right. And you want them to do better than you. You want to help. So you have to feed into them the things that are good, the things that are right. The Bible talks about in Philippians, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things of good report, think on these things. You need to pour into your children the good that you want to see coming out of them. Think of your child as an empty vessel that needs to be filled with something. And it can be filled with all of your good traits and all your good things and all the good that you have to offer, or it can be filled up with your nasty stuff. How many of you know we got some, sometimes we got some, we got some ugly things. We got some things that, no, we don't need to pass that on. You have to understand what you are filling into your children. Children naturally identify. They naturally align with their parents. They want to be like you. They want to act like you. They repeat your actions. You ever see your child, you act a certain way, you stretch a certain way, and then they start stretching a certain way. You start doing certain things. You sit up in the chair in a certain way, put up your legs and arms in a certain way, and you look over, and there they are putting up, right? Because you need to understand what you're creating here. It's not, you can't just blame it on God. You are putting some things into them. If you want them to learn how to sit up right or behave right or talk right, guess what? You better be doing it first, right? Wondering why they don't say their words right, why they don't, pronounce their words. Think about what they're getting, and you'll understand what they're giving. We have a responsibility. They're picking up from us every standard. They're picking up their norms. They're watching. They're copying. They're learning from us the right and the wrong. We have to understand that we have to pour in them the right things and shield them, or at least help them to understand what are the wrong things. There are times we get it wrong. We have to go back and maybe clarify. We got to change. We have to evolve. We have to grow so that they get the right things instead of the wrong things. When we look at men and women and the relationships that they have in their children, women tend to be natural nurturers. Naturally, they express love to the child. They help that child to understand what it means to be loved, to be coddled, to be touched. Sometimes as men aren't as focused quite as much on some of those things, but women are natural nurturers. They help a child to understand that somebody loves them, somebody cares about them. They help to build an aspect of confidence that somebody cares about you. There's something about knowing that somebody cares about you, that somebody values you, even when you messed up, even when you went the wrong direction. You just come back and you're still loved. You made a mistake? No, you're still loved. You did wrong? You can be disciplined, but guess what? You're still loved. There's somebody there to catch you even when you're not right. So it helps us to understand that there is somebody that loves you. Men have by nature are intended to pass on identity. This has traditionally been our role. Throughout the Bible, we see our responsibility. We are the ones that establish identity. In the Old Testament, they named their children, and the names that they gave them helped establish the identity of who they were and what they were about. You can see things, envision things in your children, and you help to bring that out of them, build them, support them, direct them, help them to focus, help them to find themselves. We have a responsibility. Listen, men oftentimes think of ourselves as being providers, right? Many of y'all here today? Hello? We feel that responsibility. I got to provide. I got to work. What do you mean I'm not doing? I'm working. I'm coming up with. I'm paying the bills. I'm making sure you have. We're providers. But you need to understand that not only are we providers of things, but we have to be providers of an image. Come on, man. We have to be the providers of an image. We have to help make sure that our young men understand who they are, that they have purpose. We have to make sure that our young ladies, our young girls understand that they are valuable, that they are precious, they are special, they're unique. In fact, sometimes they're too good for somebody. Hello. My girls went for a long time thinking nobody was good enough. No, Daddy, I'm bringing another. What? Yeah, whatever. Right? You better step up. What do you do? Who is you? Where you come from? What you want? Why are you here? Some of them out here are still hurt. One of them went on to get his PhD degree. He's still hurt. He'd be all right. He's doing good. His dad's taking care of him. But I had responsibility to my children to understand that you don't need to accept just anything coming your way. Amen? We have a responsibility to help establish that identity. And now it seems like we're living in a time more than ever of identity crisis, where young people are struggling more than ever to understand who they are. There's a breakdown in the family role models and relationships, which causes an identity crisis. The more the families are broken down, the more detached we are. That nurturing aspect, that confidence, that comfort of knowing who they are, and that identity aspect fades away, because many times we struggle as parents and husbands and wives with each other, but we don't realize many times that it's the children that are being hurt. We struggle in our relationships. I don't know if I want to be with him. I don't know if I want to be with her. But we cannot forget that, listen, those children did not create themselves. We have a responsibility, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes we forget it, but we are responsible for what they are becoming. But the breakdown in relationships is causing an identity crisis. We find so many young people today that are struggling, and many of the struggles are because they don't know who they are. There is a sense, a mindset of suicide like we have never seen before. More and more, there's a struggle for young people trying to figure out, what am I? Am I male? Am I female? What am I supposed to be doing? What is my role? Who am I? This struggle of identity. What am I going to be? I don't know. What should I? No ambition, no focus, just living for the moment and for the day, because they have no long-term vision of what they're going to become. Listen, we are setting up our children for struggle and failure because we're not men pouring into them the identity of who they are. Come on, somebody help me today. We have a responsibility. Tell somebody we have a responsibility. Bring these children in this world. They didn't ask to come. Hello? They didn't ask to come. We decided to bring them here. We decided to do what we needed to do to bring them here. Now we're responsible for them. Today, this selfish mindset just wants to leave them at the door, just wants to leave them at the curb. I don't know. I just, hey, whatever, but we are responsible for what we create. We are responsible for what we bring into this world, and we cannot just leave it at the curb. We have to build, we have to pour into it to make them what they are called by God to be. Amen. How many of you know we're responsible today? We got to do what we need to do. Children today are so separated from fathers. And as a result of being separated from fathers, these children are often frequently over nurtured and under focused. I'm going to say that again, overly nurtured, because there's an imbalance. So they become overly nurtured and under focused. Now they're so loved, they're so precious that they can't do anything. They're so much so that they're in a bubble, that they're so isolated that they have no vision of who they're supposed to become, because they're so loved and so coddled and so protected, and don't matter what you do and it's all right and it's okay and you just don't do anything, that's fine. But we understand we need both. We need to be nurtured, to be loved, but we have to be focused as well. We have to have a vision. There has to be a vision in your life for something. And you may not understand that. I spent time yesterday at the young people's event for the young men, 14 to 20, distinguished gentlemen, and we were talking to some of these young men. What are you going to do? What are you going to be? And some of them have an idea and some of them don't. But somebody needs to help pour into them. I told one of them, I said, I know what it is to be in your teens, and you don't really know what you want to do and what you want to be. But somebody has to be able to help pour something in them that will give them direction and focus and want to be something more than what they are right now. Some of them have to stretch a little higher. What do you want to be? I want to be a rap musician. I want to do this. Well, what have you thought about doing something with your brain? One of them said, I either want to be a musician, I want to be a rap artist, or I want to be a lawyer. I said, okay, well, let's work with it. Let's talk about that for a moment. You can use one to help be the other. I gave them some examples. Some people I've known that have used their mind to give them the opportunity to be able to do something with their creative ability. You've got to help form them, give them idea. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. Didn't imagine that. Somebody has to pour into them. Are y'all with me today? We need to understand today that young people need to have some comfort in who they are. Listen, if you have no security in who you are, then you have no confidence in your potential. If you're not secure, if there's no security in who you are, then there will not be confidence in what's your potential. If you don't understand that you're standing on something with some foundation, then you have no confidence to stretch out, to reach out. You've got to first be comfortable where you are in order to expand. Every child attempts to find its horizons, find its range, find out how far it can go. Have you ever had children in your life and seen that, they'll test you? Any parents know what I'm talking? They'll test you. They'll see how far they can go. They'll take one step. You gonna complain? You don't say nothing. So okay, they don't just stay there. They take the second step, and sometimes they'll look behind them. See if you're watching. You just looking down. I don't see nothing. And so they take a third step, and they're waiting to see where their boundaries are. We have to help identify boundaries. And you think it was done when they were 2 years old, and here they are at 15, and they're testing those boundaries. Instead of calling you mom, they call you Joyce. They call you Mrs. Whatever, or whatever. They start testing the boundaries. You say something and they say, I don't want to. Testing the boundaries. Later, Mom. I don't feel like it, Dad. I'm not. They don't ask. They tell you, I'm going to do it later. They didn't ask if you do. I'm going to do it later. What? You telling me? They are testing the boundaries. They have to understand where they are. They have to understand who they are. And children naturally test the boundaries so they can figure out where and who they are. That's how they find out right from wrong. They test. That's why they stick their finger in the socket. That's why they stick their finger on the stove, because they're testing to see where the boundaries are. They test you, and you have to tell them how far they can go. Listen, sometimes we just let them go and go and go because we love them so much and we just want them to have anything. So they ask you for one thing, you give it to them. So they don't. Do they stop? Nope. They ask you for something else and you give them that. And they don't stop there. And then they ask you for something else. And then it's another thing and then another thing until you finally say stop. Because until you say stop, there's no boundary. There's no identification. There's no sense of how far they can go. They'll ask you, can I go to this? You know you can't go to that. You know what I'm going to say even before I asked it. But they're testing to see if that boundary is still there. Well, I'm 16 now. I'm 18 now. Now I'm 19. And they testing the boundaries. You may be this tall, but guess what? You still, anybody know what I'm talking about today? We have to pour into them a sense of identity. Listen, Jesus shared the power of the relationship between him and his Father. There's a father-son relationship. Jesus expressed their relationship. We see in Jesus' relationship with his Father the perfect, the optimal relationship. Jesus had perfect and continuous connection with his Father. He thrived from his Father. He grew. He drew his strength from his Father. How was Jesus able to go through all that he went through? It was because of the confidence that had been established in him because of his relationship with his Father. He had self-awareness of his identity even when the people around him didn't know who he was. He knew he was. That's why at the age of 13 or 12 or 14, he was in the temple and they were looking for him and trying to figure out, why aren't you with us? Because I'm with my Father. I know who I am. He has a confidence. Even, listen, most of us, your parents are gone, you running. Where my parents at? Where am I supposed to do? How am I going to do? He knew was totally comfortable in the temple because that's where his Father was, and that's who he was. When you know who you are, you build and establish a confidence in who and what you're about. His self-awareness, he rejuvenated his strength. How was he able to endure all the mess, the craziness, people talking about him, lying on him, doing the things that he did, pouring out all that energy, all that glory into others, healing the sick and doing for others, and then finding himself physically and emotionally tired. Y'all don't know Jesus got physically and emotionally tired. You don't do all that and not get tired. When he needed strength, where did he go? He went back to his Father, and his Father rejuvenated him, reminded him, this is my beloved Son. He affirmed him, he acknowledged him. He let everybody else know, listen, this is my Son in whom I am well pleased. When others were questioning and doubting who he was, his Father reassured him, you on the right track, son. You're doing the right thing. You are representing me. I am still on your side. I have got your back. He showed it what it was to have that relationship which is affirmed by his Father, and he was strengthened from it. One of the issues that we're dealing with today is that today oftentimes we have fathers that don't know who they are. Somehow it wasn't transferred over to us. And so now we're trying to fill somebody else, but yet we're empty ourselves. We have fathers that are trying to father who weren't fathered themselves. And as a result of that, we're not exactly sure what to carry on. We're not sure how to pass it on. How do we behave? What it is that we're supposed to be. And sometimes the best we can pass on is the best that we got. Sometimes the best we got is just what we scrapped up our own self. We learned some lessons, some things we learned what not to be. I learned don't want to be like that. Some things just naturally carry on to us. Some of us are grumpy because our fathers were grumpy. Some of us are silent because our fathers were silent. Some of us act certain ways and behave certain ways and we don't even understand it. I look at me sometimes and I see myself walking like my father. I'm like, oh God. Here's some things coming out of my mouth towards my kids. Lord Jesus, where did that one come from? Oh, I know where it came from. Because we carry on things that we receive, not only the good, but the bad. And if we haven't been effectively fathered, then it can be challenging for us to father someone else. In particular, in African American households, fatherhood has been challenged for decades. Fathers were separated from their children, even when they wanted to love on them. We had households for decades from slavery forward where fathers were detached. They were forcibly detached. Even when they wanted to be there to pour in, they were separated out. We forgot how to truly be fathers because we didn't receive being fathering. Some of us developed a hard shell because we had to be hard to make it. Some of us don't know how to carry on love because we never experienced the love of a father. Some of us have been hurt in terms of our relationships, and now we're trying to help bring somebody else into the world, and We never really been healed right ourselves. Challenges that we struggle, we try and carry on different things, but yet here we are struggling to affirm our own identity. And how do we help somebody else with the identity of who they are? We're still trying to figure out who we are. Still trying to figure out our own boundaries and understand our own situations and get comfortable with who we're supposed to be. And sometimes we're struggling and just trying to survive. And here I am trying to now help somebody else. We have fathers that have not been fathered. And as a result, we need the image of the Father to be restored into us. She described it sometimes as being a sense of copying. God made man in his image. And as man was corrupted by sin, the image, the copies that came forward from that. You ever take something and put it on a copy machine, and then you take the copy and copy it, and the copy and copy it, and each time the resolution becomes a little bit less. Even in the good stuff we use today, the high quality, you can't take a dollar bill and put it on a copy machine and get back the exact same image. You keep putting that copy on there, it starts breaking down. And sometimes the copy that we become has been a little bit broken down because of the copy that we came from. There comes a time when you got to go back to the original and reestablish the original relationship. And just as Jesus was the Son of God, we are to be the sons and daughters of God. And instead of just being the image of a failed copy, we got to get back to the original. We need to be connected back to the Father.